Greetings, humans. Bear here, 29-year veteran of the woods. But true heroes are our veterans from the greatest generations. A few weeks back, Bear was reading a script he wrote about the Japanese internment and the group of men who went off to war fighting for a country that had interned them. This is their story, the most decorated unit in U.S. Army history. Thank you for watching, and Bear hopes that you enjoy.
Heading for Hawaii, crossroads of the Pacific, the United States fleet on one of its frequent visits presents an imposing pageant of sea power. Mighty men of war, but at the same time happy homes for the thousands of men aboard as they sail the seven seas. Hey, what's the idea? No, that's not a flood. It's just the Pacific coming aboard.
Fade in, exterior, and our location, which is in Eva, Hawaii. And we have a morning on the outskirts of a large sugar plantation. A lonely farmhouse greets the start of a beautiful Hawaiian Sunday. Squawk! Kenji Yoshito, 17, is determined to keep up with the little baby chicklet as it runs around the front yard, just out of reach. Kenji Yoshito, little rascal in Japanese. Kenji dives after the little bird and catches it. The yellow chick looks back at Kenji, covered in mud. Kenji makes sure not to let go and returns to his business. Interior, chicken coop, morning. The tight quarters have chickens everywhere. In a small nook are two boxes. One box is marked male, another female. Kenji turns on a light and holds the rogue chick up, examining the bird closely. He places the chick in the female box and double checks everyone else. Suddenly, the chicken coop starts to shake violently. Exterior, Eva, Hawaii, morning. Kenji looks around the yard. To the north, a deep rumble. Hundreds of airplanes fill the morning sky. A wave of them peels off and dives down to the earth. Explosions. Nearby Marine Corps Air Base, Eva is under attack. Kenji, Mom! Kenji hurries towards the house. Zoom! A flight of Japanese Zeros hurtle past unmolested. Only a few hundred feet away, the rising sun emblem clearly visible. For a brief second, Kenji and one of the pilots lock eyes. The two look identical, the pilot maybe a few years older. Zoom, zoom, zoom! Waves of Japanese fighters and Kate bombers spread into their formation. Their target, Pearl Harbor. A truck crashes into the front yard. The driver quickly jumps out and flees into the sugar fields. A Kate bomber takes notice and screams down. Fires. Boom! The truck goes up in flames. Kenji, Mom! Kenji sprints as fast as he can, bullets striking all around. The attack barely misses Kenji, but hits the chicken coop. The structure crumbles into splinters. Interior, Kenji's farmhouse, moments later. Kenji enters through the back door, miraculously unscathed, and sees his lovely sister, Kame Yoshito, 19, timidly curled up in a corner. Kenji, are you okay? Where's Mama? She points to the kitchen where father, Maso Yoshito, 53, projects an aura of peace as he looks out the kitchen window. Kenji runs in and spots his mother, Tsuro Yoshito, 47, behind a decorative icebox. Her steady demure turned frightened. Kenji, Mama, stay there, don't move. Father, look, have you seen such a... Boom! A shockwave shakes the farmhouse. Kenji and his father watch through the kitchen window as a huge plume of black smoke rises from the battleship row. Smash cut. Title, Go for Broke. Exterior, Kenji's farmhouse, evening, and this is later at 5:30 p.m. The crashed truck still smolders in the ditch. Little chicks roam the front yard, freed from their coop. Suddenly, 3 vehicles pull up to the Yoshito home. They belong to the U.S. government. One 1941 Chevy Suburban, which is an awesome car, followed by 2 GMC deuce-and-a-half Army trucks, which are also pretty cool. Interior, Kenji's farmhouse, moments later. Knock, knock, knock. Father answers the door. MP 1 and 2, 20s, force their way inside. They clear the way for 5 FCC guys, 30s, brainiacs in white coats. Father, what's the idea? FCC guy number 1. Signals coming from in here. Mother and sister rushing to the living room. Who are they, Maso? Father, don't be afraid, my flower. FBI agent Callahan, 30s, typical G-man, and FBI agent Miller, same, enter the small home. FBI agent Callahan. Good, that saves us some questions. Maso Yoshito, I'm Special Agent Callahan, and this is my partner, Agent Miller. We're here to SEC Guide number 2. Sir, we have it. FBI agent Callahan is handed a shortwave radio. And on the radio, he's speaking in Japanese, which actually happened. Chopsticks, we don't want to set the world on fire. Talk to you tomorrow. And it fades away. The signal fades away. FBI agent Callahan. What is this? Where did it come from? Where did it come from? FBI agent Miller. Well, look at this. FBI agent Miller sees several photos on the wall. All quite artistic. They depict scenes nearby taken by Kenji's sister. Many show battleships in Pearl Harbor. FBI agent Callahan. Mr. Yoshito, you are the head of the local sugar union, the workers' union, yes? Father nods politely. You and your wife, looks down at the manila envelope. Father, Suro, FBI agent Callahan, are very active in the Japanese Buddhist temple, yes? Father nods. Teach English to the local workers. You are very well spoken in both Japanese and English, correct? Father, if you say so. FBI agent Callahan. It's true. And you have also, Kenji enters, shielding several young chicks in his arm. Hey, what's going on here? Kenji tries to intervene, but MP2 quickly grabs a hold. The little chicks scatter on the floor. FBI agent Callahan. And you also have, Mr. Yoshito, this property, illegally deeded to your name, isn't that correct? It is. Kenji struggles with MP number 2. Only if Japanese own the deed. Quiet him, or I will. Father, do not dishonor me, son. Kenji ignores his father and continues to argue with the agents. What about our due process, huh? What is this? We're citizens. This is a violation of our due process and our Fourth Amendment rights. You some kind of lawyer? I've applied to law school. FBI agent Miller. Maybe you haven't noticed, kid, but martial law has been declared. Welcome to the military district of Hawaii. Even if there was a judge in the territories to hear your case, FBI agent Miller, poor sap would have his home and office burnt to the ground. Don't make us bring you in as well. MP1 places father under arrest. Father! Kenji breaks free from MP2 and wrestles with MP1. MP2 hits Kenji in the head with his rifle butt. Kenji goes limp and falls to the floor. Grab them all. You know the drill. To the truck, let's go. The Yoshito family is hustled, or in Kenji's case, dragged outside of their own home. Exterior. Kenji's farmhouse moments later. The family is led to the GMC CCKW Deuce and a Half. Inside the canvas bed of the truck are more detainees of Japanese, Italian, and German heritage. The canvas flap closes behind them and the GMC drives away. Exterior, Honolulu, Hawaii, night. A caravan of army vehicles rumble through the busy streets of Honolulu. What remains of Battleship Row illuminates Pearl Harbor with a reddish glow well into the night. Interior, CCKW truck cabin moments later, moving. That just means that it's inside the car and they're driving. MP1 and 2, young enlisted men, share the scuttlebutt. MP1, the 4th and 5th waves are coming in tonight. MP2, covering them damn paratroopers, right? Hidden in them cane fields. MP1, and drop more. Don't know, finish off Schofield Barracks, then come straight through the mountains, right into the city. MP2, ninjas in the night, I tell you. He spits his tobacco. Then we can expect something. MP1. Jesus, Mary, and the GMC comes screeching to a halt. Exterior, Honolulu, Hawaii, moments later. Ahead, a large bus is smashed against an electric trolley. Black smoke billows into the air. MP1 and 2 exit, with rifles at the ready. The 2 FBI agents do the same. Interior, CCKW truck bed moments later. Kenji, still groggy, looks around. He recognizes some of the nervous prisoners, leaders of Japanese organizations, charities, or temples. Kenji slowly gets up and, against his sister Kame's wishes, peeks out of an unsecure canvas flap. Exterior, Kenji's POV moments later. The collision has caused a chaotic scene. Traffic is backed up and the motorists are panicked. Rumble! Boom, 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 boom. Anti-aircraft batteries fire. They light up the night sky. MP1 and 2 do their part as well. They're firing. FBI agent Miller. Go! Get back to the truck! MP1 and 2 swiftly run for the truck. Interior. CCKW truck bed moments later. Doors to the front cab slam shut. The truck lurches forward. The hefty army truck crashes through the traffic jam, and the impact knocks Kenji to the ground. Kame, Kenji! Kenji gets back up and peeks out of the canvas once again. Exterior, Kenji's POV moments later, traveling. As the truck hits full speed, they pass by a Japanese grocer. The store is on fire. An angry mob gathers outside. A fire truck arrives, quickly on scene. Instead of putting out the fire, the firemen turn the water hoses on the angry mob. Interior, CCKW truck bed. Moments later, Kenji closes the flap quickly and says to his father, "The people, they've gone mad." True. "Father, we must stay together then. Division will get us nowhere." Exterior, rail depot, 9:34 p.m. A hastily constructed detention center holds the detainees in a recently evacuated horse stable guarded by the MPs. Father sits on the floor talking with an older man, and they're speaking in Japanese. "Man, we take the light rail. Who knows how far?" "Father, and you're sure of this? A ship is taking us to the mainland? They say submarines are out there. Sink us before we reach the mainland." Kenji, "Maybe that's the reason why." A naval officer, 32, smartly dressed, but on his last nerve, enters with civilian, 39, his superior, and a chain smoker. Naval officer, "Your attention, please. If there are any Nisei, please step forward." Kenji, one of the few Nisei, rises slowly. MP2 motions for Kenji. He walks over and faces the naval officer and the civilian. A rusty fence separates Kenji from his freedom. The naval officer flips through the thick manila folder and comes across a file with Kenji's picture on it. Naval officer, "Hoover's boys think that your father is linked to a fifth column." Kenji blinks. "According to our records, when he was your age, your father served in the Imperial Army, then came to America, married your mother, and taught English, formed a political union with field laborers, started an independence movement for their own state. Beautiful. Sounds like subversion to me." Kenji, "You think these old men are the spearhead leading the invasion? My father's knees gave out years ago. We love America." Civilian, "We've heard your English. Did your father teach Japanese as well?" Kenji briefly looks back at his father. "No, he never taught me. My father and I love my father." Civilian, "Yeah, and he gives you a hard time. Cry me a river, kid. Code breakers. Can you translate Japanese radio signals?" Naval officer, "Take it back to your cousins. Show some American spirit." Kenji, "You strip my rights, imprison my family, remove us from our home, and expect me to help you? I'm not the fool you make me out to be." MP2 grabs Kenji, pulling him against the rusty bars. Civilian, "He lost some friends today." Whistle. From around the bend, a light rail train. Civilian, "Last chance, kid. Help us, and we'll look out for your family. Take that to the bank." Kenji, "We're American citizens. Let us go." The civilian gives MP1 a nod. MP1 yells out, "Everyone listen up. Yes, you old man. I want stalls 1 and 2. As the train pulls into the rail depot, MP1 readies the inmates for transport. MP2 holds Kenji against the bars, anger in his eyes. MP1, "Stand up. Gather your possessions and form a line. A single file line. Let's go. Let's go. Single file, people. What did I just say?" Several other inmates pass before Kenji is released. Kame runs over and grabs Kenji. Kenji shamefully shuffles with his family onto the train.
When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, our west coast became a potential combat zone. Living in that zone were more than 100,000 persons of Japanese ancestry, 2/3 of them American citizens, 1/3 aliens. We knew that some among them were potentially dangerous. were, but no one knew what would happen among this concentrated population if Japanese forces should try to invade our shores. Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move. This picture tells how the mass migration was accomplished.
And we are in rural Wyoming. A train is stopped at a dusty station. A windswept road leads towards a receiving area, beyond barbed wire as far as the horizon. Japanese families, both young and old, exit the cars. Kenji helps his mother with her suitcase. Hart Mountain Relocation Center. This is in Wyoming, August 11th, 1942 at 4:30 p.m. Kenji takes his mother's bag, loading himself down. Other families struggle with their own loads, what they could bring or had on their backs at the time of internment. Basically, they came in and said, "Hey, family, you need to go. You've got a couple hours or maybe a day. Gather up all your stuff, everything that you can carry, and heading on out." So that's what happened. This is why they're loaded down with bags. Anyways. Ahead, a group of War Relocation Authority officers, 40s, not fit for modern combat, greet the new arrivals. WRA Officer number 2 takes the bags from Kenji. At first, Kenji is relieved to be free of the weight, but then the man opens the bag and searches through it. WRA Officer number 1. Looking for any contraband. Have any radios, photographic equipment, printing tools, or mimeographs? Father shakes his head. Any alcohol, drugs, or firearms? What kind of question is that? Asks Kenji. WRA Officer number 2. They're clear, packing light. Officer number 1. Cooking utensils, pots, pans. You can find them at your mess hall. Barracks are set up in a row. Each mess hall sits in the middle. Some of them might be under construction. To Father. What's the last name, sir? Father. Yoshito, Maso, and Suro. Officer number 1 looking at his notebook. Yum. While his partner searches through foreign names, Officer number 2 shows off the camp's points of interest. State-of-art boiler room. You can see that big red chimney. Points up the hill. Next to it is the hospital. To Mother and Kame. Looking for nurses. No experience. Talk to Dr. Irwin. Officer number 1. Here we go. Yoshito, 22C6. To Father. Right this way, sir. The WRA officer leads Kenji and family to the front gate. A sign proclaims, Hart Mountain Relocation Center, U.S. government property. No entry without escort. The WRA officers stop to hand out pins to the Yoshito family, each numbered with their names on them. WRA officer number 1. From the gate, you'll want to take Avenue F down to 2nd Street. Only barracks completed so far on Block 22 is Barrack C. Easy enough to find. 6 means you'll be in the back, nice and cozy. Kame. With 5 other families? WRA Officer number 1. Coal train comes every 3rd Thursday. It may be warm now, but winter will cut you to the bone. To the guard. Section 22, they're ready to go. The guard opens up the front gate. The Yoshito family enters the relocation center and begins the long walk up a dusty hill with the other families. The mountain that gives its name, Hart Mountain, stands in the distance, rising to a cliff. Hart Mountain forms a monolith protruding into the sky. Interior, barracks, later. And I call them barracks because they actually were barracks. So if you think kind of the kind of 1940s style barracks, they look just like that. The Yoshito family enters their new home. At 20 by 20 feet, the modest interior made from new pine. Any gaps to the elements are covered over with a thin sheet of tar paper. Several cots are laid against the far wall. A small coal stove sits in the corner. A narrow window peeks outside. Kame asks, "Where's the kitchen?" Kenji asks, "Where's the bathroom?" Father, "We will make do," and speaks to Kenji. "Go, get scraps of wood to burn." Kenji follows father's command and exits. Exterior Hart Mountain Relocation Center. Moments later, Kenji walks the dusty road in front of his new home and scans the endless horizon. Construction as far as he can see. Barracks, fences, and more fences. In stark contrast, Hart Mountain hangs over the internment camp like a tourist postcard. Bump! Kenji knocks into Mitz Koshima, 18, a nervous little rascal, to the ground. Mitz, "Hey! Kenji, you ran into me. Watch where you're going." Toshi Truth Yamagoto, an intelligent kid, helps Mitz back to his feet. "Where are I going?" "To find Mr. Emmit. You see him?" Kenji shakes his head. Owe us both 6 bits. What for? Bits. For dice, back on the train. They were playing craps along the train there. So, anyways, Mitz spots Emmy. There's that two-timing rascal. Mitz and Truth lead Kenji down Avenue F. More and more families are moving in, filling the road with their only possessions in the world. The three weave their way through the chaos. Mitz yells to Frank Sashi Emmy, 26. His wire-like frame matches his glasses, but he stands with authority. Mr. Emmy. Friends, I was looking for Akamoto-san myself. We were separated, and Mitz grabs a hold of Mr. Emery and shakes him. You better pay us, Buster, or all... Screams. Families scatter, leaving luggage behind. Several guards fill the yard. Aho Suzuki, 19, a punk, leads the remaining crowd in a chant. Let us go! Let us go! Let us go! Bang! A guard nervously fires into the air. Warden Rayburn off-screen. That's enough! Warden Rayburn, 54, is a tall man with wide boots, and he uses those boots to walk over and kick the offending guard. Warden Rayburn continued. To the guards. This isn't the Wild West. Secure those firearms. Listen to me, people. Listen up. We cannot abide by any civil disruptions. This crowd needs to disperse. Post haste. That means immediately. Get back to your barracks. Those who remain will be detained. Kenji asks. Detained? We're already detained. Kenji steps forward, but a WRA guard mistakes this for an attack and tosses Kenji into the dirt. Kenji struggles, but the guard makes sure he doesn't get away. The other guards get nervous and raise their rifles. Warden Rayburn. Hang on now, just 1 minute. This is a civil institution, and we will remain civil. Kiyoshi Akamoto, 52, a committee of 1, steps up and speaks to the rapt crowd. His voice fills the air with conviction. Then we demand dignity and respect. We are American citizens. We have every right to take issue with our condition. Barbed wire and guard tower? Who does that to a family? Warden Rayburn. This would have been explained tomorrow, but I'll do it here. The WRA is entrusting each block with its own representation and captains. Internees will therefore be in charge of the degenerates, gamblers, and miscreants in this camp. Furthermore, these slots will be limited to Nisei and no Issei. Mr. Akamoto objects. Because Nisei are more trustworthy as Americans. Now settle in for the night, and we'll figure out the details in the morning. You have my word. Warden Rayburn leads his men back towards the administrative building and passes Kenji along the way. Let the smartass go. Kenji is released. Murmurs among the crowd. While most leave, those that remain talk amongst themselves. Mitz. Good thing he no put up a fight, right, Truth? Kenji. Truth? The only crap stealer we can agree on. Truth. Train have everyone from Pomona to Polyup. What camp you from, pal? Kenji. Santa Anita. Mitz. Where the horses race? Yeah, my family traded one stable for another. Mr. Emery and Mr. Akamoto join the young men. Mr. Akamoto. Many people are fine to go through life. Keep their head low. Don't start no trouble. But this is not one of those times. When a government does a wrong, you have a right to protest. To say this is unjust. Organize and take back your lives. Without your help, we've no voice. So join us and lift your head high. Enough of the talk. Where's my payment? Mr. Emmy. Ah, yes, my debt will be paid. But Akamoto-san is right. We must organize. We need men like you to hold their head high, to show the way. Most of these families are farmers. Washington, Oregon, California. The WRA needs us more than we need them. Kenji asked, how can you be so certain? Aho, because they need us to tend to the fields while Jack and Johnny are off fighting. As they talk, Kame runs up. Kame, we heard a shot. What's happening? You're supposed to get firewood. Kenji, it's okay. Everyone's okay. Truth. You know, this place not so bad. Where I lived, not many Japanese. Here, beautiful girls just run up. Kenji, hey, you know nothing about her. Truth, well, I sure like to. Please, will you come by tomorrow? We all have much to discuss. And kid, come by early. Somebody has to show you how to fight. Why's that? Mr. Emmy. Look around. We need a block captain. Mr. Emmy walks away with Mr. Akamoto, talking politics. Kame drags Kenji away from the other troublemakers. As they head towards their new home, the sun sets on Heart Mountain. Ironic picture of the Wild West. Exterior, Heart Mountain Relocation Center. day. Heart Mountain has grown significantly. All around, people are going about their daily lives, as best they can under the circumstances. A springtime sun has brought out all of the colors of green, vegetables, fruits, ornamental flowers, and abundance of plenty produced from the high desert. Kenji walks down Avenue K. Mitz runs after him. Mitz, hey, haven't you heard? He catches up with Kenji. Aho want to demonstrate tonight. He gonna march to the front gate and get the old man released. Kenji, ACLU won't help. Why not? Mitz, Mr. Emery tell us, say no on our loyalty papers. No. Fair Play Committee is right. We resist draft until our rights are back. Kenji, resisting the draft board is one thing. There needs to be more. Aho says Aho is nothing but trouble. Kenji spots Truth, taking pictures of Kame. Kenji, in Japanese, son of a bitch. Kenji sprints towards Truth, leaving Mitz behind. Truth, meanwhile, is enamored with his subject. He looks at an image of a beautiful woman with a picturesque background, tragically trapped behind barbed wire. Truth, I like, and one more. Kenji runs up and blocks the view. Truth, hey! Truth takes one look at Kenji and runs away. Kenji yelling after Truth, where'd you get that camera? To Kame, oh, look at you, the sheriff of Barrack C. Can't we have some fun? Cut it out. Looks around. If they find him with, Kame walks off in a huff. Kenji follows after her. You know what would happen if the WRA catches anyone with a camera? Kame, the WRA can arrest us all, not while the spring crop is coming in. Who else would grow their beets? Okay, but you and him shouldn't. If I remember correctly, you and Yuki Amagoto at the fall festival, when the two of you headed off to... Okay, that's enough, not so loud. Kame, laughing to herself. The two make it back home. Another family has a victory garden in the front of their barracks. An older woman tends to her garden as Kenji and her sister walk past. Interior, Kenji's home moments later. Kame and Kenji enter. The room has changed significantly. A Spartan accommodation has been transformed into a cozy space, if a bit cramped from the 20 by 20 layout. Mother is nearby, ready for her hospital shift, while father heats a teapot on the coal stove. Mama, do you remember Yuki? Mother, the young girl you were friends with back home? Kenji cuts off his sister and announces himself. Father, I have news for you. Unresponsive, father continues to labor over his tea. We have decided to make a stand. Mr. Okamoto's arrest was the last straw. Resisting isn't an option anymore. We must demand all of our rights be returned before any of us are drafted from Heart Mountain. Mother, Kenji, please. You should be given your rights back, Mama. I do this for you. Don't get her involved in this. Not when you dishonor. I will say no. Kenji takes out 3 folded pieces of paper. He hands it to Kame, and she reads. Statement of the United States citizen. Go on to the bottom. 27 and 28. Are you willing to serve in the armed forces of the United States on combat duty, wherever ordered? Will you swear unqualified allegiance? Kenji, go ahead. Kame, and faithfully defend the United States from any or all attack by foreign or domestic forces, and forswear any form of allegiance, Kenji cuts her off, any allegiance or obedience to the Japanese emperor or foreign government, or they think I'm loyal to the emperor? I've never even been to Japan. Both questions are marked no. Don't you know what this means? It means we shouldn't be asked to fight for another man's freedom, not when ours has been taken away. Father drops the teapot on the stove. Enough! No boy of mine says no. You serve when asked. Do not dishonor this family again. Promise me that. Kenji, I'm doing what you did back home. We try. Mr. Emmett try. Just to resist. But we need more than talk to get our freedoms back. Father walks out. Mother gives Kenji an angry look and follows father. Kenji stands there disgraced. Whistle. The teapot boils over. Exterior, Heart Mountain Relocation Center, sundown. A small crowd of young Nisei chant slogans and march towards the front gates. Whistle, whistle, whistle. Several WRA guards have taken up defensive positions along the fence line and stand at the ready. Meanwhile, Kenji tries to convince a small group to join. Kenji on one side, Mr. Emmett and Mitz on the other. Kenji, so we can't wait around. Act now. Speak as one voice and join us. Mr. Emmett, Join Aho and you'll be arrested. We are just now gaining momentum. Outsiders are starting to listen. If you go to that fence, you bring shame on your family, Akamoto-san, and the cause itself. The group murmurs amongst themselves. Kenji senses the group's reluctance and backs away. He joins the march instead and makes his way to the front with Aho. Aho chanting, "Hey, hey, let us free today. Hey, hey, let us free today." Kenji, there's been a slight holdup. The march presses forwards towards the front gates, egged on by Aho. The guards, nerves frayed, rifles at the ready. Bang! A warning shot is fired into the air, followed by an announcement over a loudspeaker. Back away from the front gates. Violators will be arrested. The temperature in the camp has risen considerably. All around, people are taking notice. Father spots Kenji and rushes over. He tries to pull his son away from the troublemakers. Father, this isn't the way forward. Kenji pushes back, so Father addresses the crowd. The march stops for a moment and listens to their elder. It's easy to have bitterness in your heart for all that you have been through. Don't let that bitterness defeat you, though. Take strength from these struggles, a flawed system, the promise of this nation, and turn it into a hopeful future. Aho, sensing the lost momentum, riles up the marchers. We say no! We say no! We say no! Only Father stands between the marchers and the front gate. A guard wipes sweat from his brow and clutches his rifle. Bang! Father clutches his chest and falls over. The crowd runs away as Kenji screams out. Interior, Heart Mountain Hospital, later. Father is rushed into the waiting room, leaking blood on the laminate floor. Mother and a team of nurses come through the operating room and lay the patient down on a gurney. It's only then that Mother sees who it is. And just like that, Father is rushed back into the OR. Exterior, Heart Mountain Relocation Center. Various. The hospital hums with activity. The boiler room's long red brick chimney reaches into the moonlight. As night falls and becomes day, the camp goes back to a normal state of affairs. Interior, Heart Mountain Hospital. Morning. Kenji and sister sit with each other on a wooden bench. They've been up all night and their faces show it. 3 men walk in, led by Warden Rayburn. Warden Rayburn, son, these men are from the U.S. Marshal's office. Come quietly, we'll make a fair offer. The U.S. Marshals, 40s, gruff, place Kenji in handcuffs. Warden Rayburn, the Army's come to town, looking for some recruits. Kenji, I've already told them no. Mother returns from the operating room. Sister runs over and sobs loudly. Mother leads in to console her. Warden Rayburn, ma'am, I apologize at a time like this. I need your son to come with us. He's a lot to answer for. But if he helps his country, I'll make sure that you and your family are looked after. Mother ponders this for a moment, looks Kenji in the eye. He wants you to bring honor. Do not throw away that promise to him now. Kenji is led away, still covered in Father's dried blood. Interior, Warden Rayburn's office moments later. Inside, a group of men huddle around the warden's desk. Nervous cigarette smoke fills the air. Kenji enters the room and takes a quick census. Warden Rayburn, the U.S. Marshals, and 2 Army recruiters. Kenji's handcuffs are unlocked. He cautiously takes a seat. Warden Rayburn, the Marshals here plan to break up your subversive cell. Came for the old man first. Now all this happens. WRA can't let your riot make the papers. It's a sensitive topic, and the DA wants to make an example out of you. I've convinced him otherwise. Pushes Kenji some papers. Names, dates, and sworn statements. Everyone involved in this fair play committee. We plan a speedy trial, and with your help, a conviction. In return, the DA agrees to waive any charges against you for against me. That's right. Leavenworth's filled with dissenters. Now listen, this is a win-win for everybody, including your family. Don't mess it up. Kenji looking at the papers. What do you want? Unlike your friends out there, you're going to sign up. An example to everyone in the camp. One Army recruiter walks over and closes the blinds. The other sets up a film projector. The lights flicker off, and the projector starts.
This very old man, this couple sitting with such quiet dignity, this mother with her child, all are Americans of Japanese descent. So too is the rest of this audience, which here listens with solemn pride as the Army honors their sacred dead. Japanese American soldiers killed in action. Afterwards, a wife who has lost her husband is presented with the Silver Star. A father receives the Distinguished Service Cross. His son was killed in Italy, where he and thousands of other Japanese Americans, including the son of this woman, have produced one of the most remarkable combat records of the war. Important and decisive battles. And each time, these men of the 100th Infantry Battalion and the 442nd Combat Team have been right out in front. Here, after bitter fighting, they enter Livorno, one more ill-fated town that has been pounded into rubble, as the Fifth Army makes its slow, tortuous advance up the hot, dry valleys of Italy. Already within the buildings, the dead have begun to stink.